Welcome back to another video. My name is Matt and I help people overcome retroactive jealousy. In this video, I want to talk to you about the best way to handle your retroactive jealousy triggers. I think this is about the third time I've done a video like this. I try to do it maybe every 6 months or so because I think this is so important and this is something that not a lot of people out there talk about, and I think this is the most effective way to handle triggers. This is how I handled my triggers and I overcame RJ after 13 years. This is how anybody I help through coaching or email support or WhatsApp support, however we do it, when I tell them this about triggers and they implement it in their life, they have a very speedy recovery as well. So this is very different from what a lot of people teach. And yes, it's quite intense, but if you can master this, if you can become intense for just a little bit, you'll overcome retroactive jealousy faster than ever. So we'll get to that in this video. Before we do though, if you could take a quick moment and smash the like button, that'll activate YouTube's algorithm and get this video out to more people that need to see it. So I'd greatly appreciate it. And of course, before you go today, check out the links in the description below. I've got 3 amazing courses down there for you. You can sign up for any of those to get some extra help on overcoming retroactive jealousy. You can also bundle all 3 courses and get my master course where I'll throw in my email address absolutely free email coaching if you enroll in the Retroactive Jealousy Master Course. I cannot wait to help you overcome this once and for all, especially as we're getting into the new year. I also got some freebies down there if you're not interested in enrolling in a course right now, a free meditation and a free little mini ebook down there. So check all that out before you go today. Okay, so here we go, triggers. People reach out to me all the time and ask this question: how do I handle my triggers? Or not necessarily how do I handle, but this thing triggers me, this name triggers me, this restaurant triggers me, this song triggers me, this triggers me. When I see this, it triggers me. Somebody reached out to me and said, the name Matt triggers me, so I can't watch your videos. And I always have the same response when someone says that. I say, good. It's good that this triggers you. We need to start seeing our triggers as a positive thing. And this is where things get a little bit different from other people who coach online and things like that, is a lot of people will say, avoid your triggers. Okay, avoid your triggers, avoid these anxious situations and do these other things, and then, you'll overcome RJ, and then eventually you can see if the triggers still trigger you, and I'm not saying that doesn't work. I'm sure it probably does, but it's going to take you a long time to overcome RJ, a long time, because that was the first piece of advice I took when it came to triggers, was avoid them. So literally there was like certain restaurants where I knew my partner had gone with a previous, that I avoided. There were certain names. I told the story one time I played an Xbox game, a Major League Baseball game, and one of the players on there shared the same last name as a trigger for me. And so I actually had to go into the game and figure out how to change this person's last name, or I wouldn't even play that team. Eventually I just stopped playing the game altogether because just the thought of the game with the player's last name in it triggered me. So all these things, and pretty soon I realized okay, I'm not playing video games anymore, which was something I kind of enjoyed doing. I'm not eating at certain restaurants anymore, which was something I enjoyed doing. I'm not, watching certain movies with sex scenes in it because of that. So I was avoiding my whole entire life, And then pretty soon, the thought of accidentally triggering myself in some way, shape, or form got me more anxious than an actual trigger would. So I'd be like, oh, I shouldn't do this because maybe I'll get triggered. Oh, I shouldn't do that, so maybe I was trying to avoid everything. I was avoiding my whole life. And that was a problem for me. That started becoming a problem because pretty soon everything became a trigger for me. I could look at this tree outside and somehow relate it to retroactive jealousy, relate it to something, and it would trigger me. And so I realized I'm avoiding my whole life. What's going on here? What's going on here? This isn't working. I'm getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And so I actually read this piece of advice online, and it was in a forum. I dug deep into a forum. I think it was a several-year-old post. And this person said, no, you need to expose yourself to the triggers. Expose yourself. Purposely trigger yourself. Because triggers are fears. And just like any fear in life, the more we expose ourselves to a certain fear, the less it becomes a fear. So if you're afraid of heights and you go up to a really high tower and look down, you're going to feel very uneasy, right? If you go up a second day, you're going to feel uneasy. If you go up and do it a third day, you're going to feel uneasy. Fourth day, fifth day, sixth day, seventh day, maybe a little easier. Eighth day, a little easier. Ninth day, a month from now, 2 months from now, that view of the heights that used to scare you a month ago doesn't scare you anymore, right? We've triggered ourselves enough to it that we've showed our brain that it's okay. I can do this. I'm not in any danger. It's all good. I'm all right. And that's what exposing yourself to triggers really is. We have to stop looking at this as some surface level stuff and really look at it as what our brain is reacting to and what our brain is doing, how we can change our brain, literally. And so when we purposely expose ourselves to a trigger, we are training our brain to show that there's no danger in this trigger, right? Because your brain's responding when you get triggered saying, this is really bad, you're gonna die, you're in danger. Can something that trigger us really kill us? Can eating at a restaurant where your partner ate with their ex kill you? No, it can't, right? This is silly stuff. Our brain is very much locked up. So we need to unlock our brain so it starts processing information correctly. And we can do that by exposing ourselves to triggers. Okay, this doesn't feel good. But again, this is an aggressive approach and it works really well. And as long as you know, like, hey, this isn't really gonna feel good, but that's okay. I'm okay. I'm not gonna die. Everything's gonna be fine. I'm gonna get over it. Once you realize that, and you will after a few times, this gets easier and easier, and you get better and better and better. So what I personally did, I took this person's advice online, and he took sticky note. And I had some sticky notes. Oh, I was gonna bring them out, but I left them in the other room. But sticky notes. And what he did is he would write his triggers on sticky notes. And he'd put them in different areas of his house, on the bathroom mirror, on the refrigerator, on the front door, on his TV, whatever the case is. And so when he'd walk into a room and he'd read that, he'd get triggered. And he'd feel it, but then he wouldn't do a compulsive behavior. He'd feel it, he'd say, yep, I feel it, there it is, but guess what? I'm in no danger. And he'd take a breath and then he'd let it pass. And he said he had to do this, for like a month, a solid month. Anything that triggered him, he'd write down, or anything he'd think. And he said, eventually, guess what? These things stopped triggering me. It stopped. I could read that sticky note and I wouldn't feel anything. If it was the name of a restaurant on it, then I'd go a step further and actually go to the restaurant. And I'd realize I'm okay. Okay? Because he's training his brain, slowly but surely, there's no danger in these triggers. And when your brain realizes there's no danger, your brain will no longer release the adrenaline into your system. So therefore, you'll stop feeling the anxious response. Remember, it's not the thoughts that bother us, it's not the trigger that bothers us, it's the anxious response that bothers us. So when there's no more anxious response, we're free. So I literally did exactly that. I put sticky notes in different places. I did it every single day. And I went a step further. And I tried to flip my mind on its head, flip my emotions on their head, and say, you know what? The feeling of negative emotion, this feeling of this anxious response, instead of letting my brain go on autopilot and say, no, you shouldn't be feeling this doesn't feel good. Oh no, I said, no, this feeling feels good. I like feeling this because I know every time I feel it, it means I'm one step closer to getting over this. Most of the time, the reason we feel bad is because we've told ourselves this feeling is bad. But what if we told ourselves feeling this is actually a good thing? We'd flip everything on its head. We'd remove fear from our lives. Life would become limitless in that case. So that's what I started doing. The more negative emotion I felt, the more triggers I felt, the better it is. Yes, I love feeling this way. Oh, bring it on. Yeah. That I'm not really sure feeling, it means I'm absolutely sure. That discomfort feeling, it means no, I am comfortable. I'm comfortable with this discomfort. And the more I did that, and the more I triggered myself, the more I felt it, and the more I just let it come and let it pass without doing compulsive behaviors, right? That's a big step. You're not going to do a compulsive behavior. You're just going to feel the emotion until it passes. You're winning this battle every single time. So I challenge you to start exposing yourself to your triggers, okay? Exposing yourself to your triggers. Don't run from them. Don't change your whole life because of them. Step toward them. We're no longer be living in fear. We're no longer going to live in fear. We're done with that. We're going to start stepping towards life, stepping towards our triggers, and understand the emotion's going to come up, but we're not going to do anything about it. We're going to sit there and say, I like this feeling. This feeling means I'm overcoming this. I got this. Take a big, deep breath, relish in that feeling, and know that every time you do it, you're one step closer to beating this. I promise you, literally, if you can expose yourself to triggers on a regular basis, if you do this for a month, I think you'll overcome this in a month. I really do. I really do. I think that's enough time for your brain to really process what's going on and start unlocking itself. If you can do this as best you can. I would even throw in some meditation while you're doing this as well, just a daily meditation, which I have a free meditation in the links in the description below. Download that, take a copy of that home and use this, because meditation is going to help calm the anxiety responses along with your exposure to the triggers. So it's like a win-win-win, right? It's a double punch. But I'm telling you, if you can do this for like 30 days and you look back after 30 days where you started and where you are now, it's going to be a night and day difference. Night and day difference. So start doing this best you can, whatever it is. If you want to use sticky notes, if you just, can bring up a certain image in your mind and trigger yourself, do that. But understand, it doesn't feel good, but it's going to pass. It's not going to kill you. And the more you do this, the better you become. So if you have a trigger, if something triggers you, if everything triggers you, good. The more things that trigger you, the faster you're going to overcome this. And I cannot wait until you get to the other side. Of course, if you want some more help in this process and overcoming RJ, check out the links in the description below. If you sign up for my Retroactive Jealousy Master Course, which is all my courses combined, I'll give you my personal email address absolutely free so I can help you overcome this once and for all. I can be your trigger cheerleader, okay? Every time you expose yourself, I'll be right there to tell you it's all gonna be okay. All right, so check that out before you go today. I'd love to help you personally overcome this. That's it for me for now, everybody. Before you go, please take a moment and smash that like button. Also, subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. Click that bell icon so you are alerted every time I post a new video. There we go. That's it for me for now, everybody. I hope you have a fantastic day, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.